The Roman historian and senator Publius Cornelius Tacitus referred to the execution of Christ by Pontius Pilate and the existence of early Christians in Rome in his final work, the Annals. So this was written in 116 AD, and being that he was born in 56 AD, he was not only one of the earliest, but is also referred to as one of the greatest Roman historians that we reference today. Why do I bring him up? It's not so much to sit here and argue for who I believe existed, but more so to create some context behind this name, Jesus.
So my understanding of a lot of stuff is based on Jesus.
In almost every conversation we have involving Jesus, it's about the Jesus who lived his life in divine nature, God in the flesh, the Messiah. But if we're going to be honest, many people claimed to be the Messiah in Jesus' era. And statements like this usually end up getting used to make him look like less than he truly was. Almost as if it makes him look overly similar to other men. But I don't think that should be looked past. As a matter of fact, I can't help but believe that needs to be emphasized even more so. Claiming to be the Messiah back then had a very specific definition. It meant you were claiming to be the descendant of King David. You were there to reestablish his kingdom on earth and bring forth the rule of God. Which to the Romans, this would basically be treason. With the rule of God coming in, this automatically means Roman law is pushed to the side. So you are essentially an enemy of the state. You are the epitome of a rebel. The vast majority of people who claimed the title Messiah were killed the same exact way Jesus was. These people were crucified. A punishment meant specifically for that level of rebellion against authority. And I'm not saying we should ever take the name Jesus out of the conversation, but for 1 second, just 1 second, let's just take this small idea into account. This guy who comes along and speaks his mind and leads a rebellion against the government in their eyes, and knew from the very beginning of everything that he was going to go through all of this and at the very end take his punishment like a man. That phrase right there, take his punishment like a man, means something so different to me right now. The more that I learn about this guy Jesus and read about his life, suddenly the script gets flipped and everything has a different meaning. So in a historical context and philosophically, when we look at that statement, it means putting your responsibility and your morale on a pedestal and accepting the consequences for your actions. But ironically, in a spiritual sense, it's so much more literal to me now. Jesus took his punishment like a man. God took his physical punishment the same way a man would. If someone did that today in 2020, stood up for their people, spoke their truth, and got killed for it by the government, they'd be looked at as a true martyr. Someone who truly died for their cause. We hear the phrase God get thrown around today so loosely, like it's nothing, from celebrities including it in their stage names, or even saying things like so-and-so is like a god. He is like a god in basketball. He is a god amongst men.
That wasn't Michael Jordan out there. That was God disguised as Michael Jordan.
Charlemagne the God, host of the radio show The Breakfast Club.
There is one God and one king in that land now.
Even in today's pop culture vernacular, you'd have to look at Jesus and all the radical words he said and how he lived his life and how he died for his people, how can you look at this guy and not say this man was a god? That's the biggest piece of irony in all of this today for me.